So as far as learning about Pablo Escobar's life, this documentary doesn't do the great job showing how he rose to the top and how he rose through the ranks and became this drug lord. It seems to just say he was more ruthless than other people. I mean, I think they're all pretty ruthless, but it gives these examples of his brutality. A waiter steals some silverware from him, and it means nothing. He's making so much money, but he wants to make an example that you can't disrespect him like that. So he tapes the waiter's hands and feet and just throws them in the pool, and all the party guests, sipping their fancy drinks, just watch him drown. And it's one of those moments where it's that true to life, true story that's just so unsettling and creepy, even after watching all these gangster shows of people imagining, trying to think, oh, what are we going to do to make the bad guys seem menacing and sinister, and they kind of try to come up with the most menacing things they can think of. I hear something like that, which is, maybe it's not true, but probably true, and they probably corroborate it with enough people, and even that's enough to make your blood run cold. And then once Pablo Escobar is on top, it gives some interesting facts about how he maintains this big drug empire. They show how he'd go about bribing judges, and you hear about this a lot, but how they actually described it was interesting. He'd send people, and they'd bring a big briefcase full of money. That's the carrot, that's the reward, but then also photos of the judge's kid, and that's the stick. And you often think about manipulating someone, it's either carrot or stick. It's either, you try to bribe them and you try to tempt them, or you try to threaten them and put fear into them. Why not just do both? He would just say, look, you can either have the money and, your day can have just gotten a lot better, or you can not take the money and your day's going to get a lot worse. And it just shows how you may think some of these judges, were cowards for giving in to him, but if you were faced with that, the carrot and the stick, wouldn't you take it as well? And they talked about how at these places where the cocaine was being made and processed, not only did they have people working there like 9 to 5 like a company, but they had sleeping quarters for their employees. So not only were they working 9 to 5, they had to work even more, and they were basically working there around the clock. That's just how much was being produced. And then so interesting how they talked about how they'd smuggle it into Florida, just how easy it was. They would just load up a plane, fly it near Florida, just drop the plane off into the water. Boats would just zip over, divers would go grab the stuff, come back, and then they just leave the plane there, and the plane would just sit there. But where I think people are going to be most blown away by this documentary, everyone knows Pablo Escobar is a drug lord, this drug kingpin. I don't think many people know about how much terror he inflicted on this country of Colombia, trying to get this law overturned that he could get extradited to the US. How basically he created an entire country of chaos and war and violence over this one law. The fascinating thing is when we think about terrorism, usually we think about it and what we see is political goals for the national liberation of a country or ideological goals. This was as extreme terrorism as maybe has ever occurred, and yet it was just for one person. He didn't like a law and he wanted to get that law changed just for his own personal reasons. And it is very interesting, the documentary doesn't really explore why he was so terrified of getting extradited to the US. Like he said, he'd prefer a coffin in Colombia than a jail cell in the US, and that turned out to be very prophetic. And you want to talk about true bravery and true journalism. The movie The Post that came out, talked about the bravery and heroism of the journalists, because Nixon, threatened them with legal action and stuff. Here, not only were the journalists who reported on him killed, but their whole offices were blown up by his goons. So just the courage that it would take to write about him, I mean, I couldn't do it. It's just, I don't know, it seems almost like you'd have a death wish to want to write about him, but the people that do it's so important. So, I mean, you can't say enough. I wish almost the documentary spent more time, made a whole documentary, rather than making a documentary about Pablo Escobar, make a documentary about these brave journalists, but, Pablo Escobar is more interesting. And think about the president of Colombia. Pablo Escobar has waged this war on him. Think about how much pressure he would feel just to cave on this law that, I mean, it's no personal stake for him, and you wonder how much pressure the US was putting on the president of Colombia not to cave on this law, because I feel like, I mean, maybe the president of Colombia cared a bit, but I feel like the US cared a lot more about trying to get Pablo Escobar. So for this president who he sees his whole country just going up in flames and the attacks on his own life, these failed assassination attempts, it's just so interesting why he held tough and held firm. And again, I wish they explored maybe him a little more and his rise to power, but you can only do so much in a little short documentary. And one of those failed assassination attempts on the president killed 110 innocent people on a plane, and it's those little facts like that that some people are like, oh, Pablo Escobar, the DEA is a real criminal, he's a hero. Facts like that make it a little hard to, be a wholesale supporter of Pablo Escobar. And I do think it's funny, the whole documentary, they're talking to these DEA officials, and they're describing all these horrible things that Pablo Escobar has done. You know, you could say he's among the most evil people ever, and yet they can't help but have the awe kind of creep into their voice and the way they talk about him. It's not like they're talking about a monster, they're talking about almost this rock star. And then after Pablo Escobar decides to end this reign of terror by taking a deal, I think he said he'd take 5 years in jail. At first you think, wow, 5 years in jail, the fact that he was able to negotiate that is incredible. But then you get to the part where truth really is stranger than fiction, because if they made a movie or TV show and they put this in it, everyone would say, that's ridiculous, that's not real life, that would never happen. But no, this did happen, where he built his own prison for his sentence beside his mansion. He got to pick the guards, he got to pick the inmates, basically just filled it with his friends, wouldn't let anyone from the government within 2 miles of his prison. There was a disco, his jail cell was this giant suite. It's just incredible to think that this is real life. And I will say, if you know who Pablo Escobar is, but don't really know his life and don't really know how things ended up for him, towards the end of this documentary, you're going to be on the edge of your seat. You're going to feel like you're watching a movie, and you're so excited to know what happens. And it's just like, it's fascinating when you have these historical stories, but it's just like a movie or TV show where you're on the edge of your seat not knowing what's going to happen. And I will say, I feel the documentary was quite good. The little touches where instead of saying 80% of the cocaine coming into the US, they said 4 out of 5 lines, you know, snorted in the US. So it's interesting, those little touches. And then there's the scene where 2 of the people Pablo Escobar are going to execute, his own kind of henchmen. In their last moments, they ask for the Bible. And it's just fascinating, you know, someone, they can live a life of crime, break every biblical command possible, but in those last moments, they're still going to ask for the Bible. It's just this basic human desire. And then the visuals, it was this great combination of high-def aerial shots of the city, presumably cities in Colombia, and faded photographs they included as well, and grainy footage, and they kind of threw all these together, and I thought it was a great mix of kind of making you feel this retro vibe and actually seeing the real photographs and the real footage, but then also these more glitzy, high-def shots of modern Colombia. So if you're someone that doesn't know a lot about Pablo Escobar, you're going to love this documentary because it's just such a fascinating story. Any documentary that covered the story of Pablo Escobar, you're going to be interested in because, like I say, it's just fascinating. If you're someone who knows a lot about Pablo Escobar's story, I think this documentary has enough new stuff, enough new little anecdotes, and an interesting enough take, and it's well put together, enough cool visuals that you'll like it as well.